Hi everyone, in this video I'm going to explain about this workflow. This workflow performs these four operations, that is create, search, update and delete records in Airtable. So first it has a chat trigger node. Whenever the user sends a message, this message is sent to AI agent. AI agent will interpret the message and will understand the intent. It will determine the tool and will pass those parameters to MCP client. The tool details as well as the details to MCP client, and the MCP client will then trigger the required tool. It will call the required tool. Say if it AI agent has passed the create, it says it requires create tool, it will call the create tool. So this is the MCP server, which trigger node, which acts like a host. So when you create this MCP server trigger node, it will give you the default URL. You have to copy this in the MCP client SSC endpoint, so that whenever AI agent sends the tool details to client, it will call the required tool. And so this is the create node. It will create the record in Airtable. And this is the search node. It will search the records for specific records, or it will search all the records in Airtable. Update, this will call another workflow. So here there is a webhook which will listen for the events. Once it receives the message, it will sends the ID and will search all the records in Airtable, and then it will update those records. And the same thing happens for the delete also. It will call another workflow. It will listen, the webhook listen for the events, and it will, when receives the message, it will search the records based on ID and assign your ID, and then it will delete a record. So yeah, and then here so for proper working of this workflow, you have to give the prompt for the agent properly. As you can see here, like use search only if the user explicitly requests to view task, and for create, to uh, to add a new task, use create to add a new task, or use update to change the due date of a task. Do not use search before update. So the prompt is like more important here. If you give it properly, the workflow will run properly. And also you have to give the description for the tool properly. Say suppose for delete, deletes a task by assigning name, example delete John task. And for update also, you can see I have given the description properly, like for update task by assigning name with due date due date, example like update John's task due date to July 15th are given. And you should also send the required parameters like assignee and the due date. Only then it can able to update those records. So let me execute uh, the workflow. So for update, we need to execute this workflow before, because it has to listen for the event. Even for the delete, you have to do the same. If you want to update or delete, you need to execute these workflows. As you can see, like it is listening for that event. So next we have to execute here. Let me ask like what tools you have. As you can see, it has the following tools, four tools like search, create, update and delete. And let me execute it once again. Create a task for Sam to create an n8n template for MCP July 15th. So the MCP client here, it is calling the create tool, as you can see here. So this is the input it has received from the agent. Create an n8n template for MCP, that is the task name, and due date is 15th. Assignee is Sam. And here you can see the input the same here also for create task. And you can see in the task manager a task has been created for Sam. So let me execute the workflow for searching the details. So fetch all records. So now MCP client has called the search. So as there is no filter, because I have asked all the records, there is no filter, and it has written all the records. You can see it here: John Smith, Alice, and Sam. We have only three records in the table, so it has written all the three records. Now let me execute a workflow for the update. N- Now let's execute for update. Let first execute workflow, and let's execute like update due date to July 20 for task assigned to Alice. So as you can see here, the MCP client has called the update node, and it has called the update workflow, as you can see here. So when I click the webhook, it listened for the event and it has received the body like assignee Alice and due date July 20. And now it searched the records for with the assignee name. As you can see here, the output. And in the code, I'm extracting the due date only. And you can see the assignee name and the due date. Both I'm extracting the assignee and due date. And I'm merging the both outputs. Then I'm updating the record in Airtable. So based on the matching on ID, it will update the due date. So you can see it here, right? So the record has been updated to July 20. The same is for the delete. Let me execute the workflow and delete ta- delete the task assigned to Alice. So now the MCP client has called the delete. Let me execute it once again. So sometimes it happens, we need to just stop and start it again, because it, there may be network issue when calling that webhook. So let me execute once again. Delete the task assigned to Alice. As you can see here, the delete node was called, and you can see the input it parameters the agent has sent Alice name. And in the workflow, you can see the body assignee Alice name, and it searched records of Alice, and then it has deleted the record based on the matching ID. Yeah, that's it. You can also see it here. There is no record of Alice. So yeah, hope you like this video. Please like, share, and subscribe. Thanks for watching.